I spent over 25 years working in the nonprofit affordable housing development sector. I think I developed more than 1,000 units of housing in and around the city of Boston. Really powerful, creating neighborhoods, stabilizing communities. And at the end of the day, all those families we were helping were still poor. We hadn't actually done very much to change the fact that to get them out of poverty and to think about asset building and wealth creation. Where we are is the old Pearl hot dog factory, and this was vacant for over 15 years, and I had an opportunity as a real estate person to help imagine what you could do with this building. And out of that came this idea of building a food business incubator. So it was sort of this universal opportunity to think about food as a way for people to get on a journey of moving out of poverty, moving into a place where there's opportunities for wealth creation and asset building. And so for me, the work was trying to figure out how can I use my skill set to create opportunities for people to start those businesses and lower the barriers to entry in the food industry. The model that we're trying to create, where we're really being in partnership with our companies from the time they show up all the way through how do they produce, how do they scale, how do they get to market, how do they distribute, how do they find access to capital. 3.5 years in, it's undeniable what the impact is, right? 50 companies that are working here, 3 to 5 companies every year that graduate and go out and build their own retail spaces and wholesale spaces. Over 500 jobs at this point created by what we're doing. We have a woman who works here, Lindigo Spice is the business, the owner is Celeste Croxton Tate. She grew up in this neighborhood. She's a Boston police officer at night, and she makes chutney during the day, and she's a caterer during the day. And she does this work because it's both a way to de-stress from what she does every day, but also because part of her job is wanting to provide jobs for women who have been coming out of abusive relationships. So how does she support them? So the idea that we're helping her create that dream for her to come true and support this woman who gives back so much into the community, it's amazing. I came to be an executive director, not by choice. I was asked to step into this role at a time when the organization was in crisis. So I come at this work with zero experience in the food industry and food systems work. And so I come at it with kind of wide eyes and sort of possibility of, well, why is it so broken? What's interesting to me intellectually and challenging to me, and has been really my career, is trying to solve problems. What's the problem I'm trying to solve? What are the steps to put it in place? How do I solve it? We walked in the door and said, get the kitchen open, let's get the kitchen open. And then when we got it open, we saw that our companies needed more help with their permits. So we couldn't find anybody else to help them get their permits figured out, so we hired staff that could actually do that work. And then we found that they needed more different kinds of equipment, so we went out and bought the equipment. And then we found that they needed manufacturing support, so we got the manufacturing support. Every day we're saying, well, what's it going to take to fix that? Let's see if we can't break down that barrier. What's the next barrier? Break down that barrier. And so that old story of you're flying the plane while you're building the plane feels like my life every single day. My DNA is I'm kind of a dog with a bone, right? Like, I just don't give up. The work that we're doing is so entrepreneurial and so new very often. It's not like, here's the program and it's beautiful and here's how we've done it and here's what the impact is and here's the success rate and therefore fund it. As we have started the work and developed our concept, we confuse the hell out of a ton of people. They're like, wait, what are you doing? You're doing too many things. Why aren't you just focused on building small businesses? Why aren't you just focused on job training or business training? Why aren't you just fill in the blank? And I say to them, because it's a system, and the food system has lots of places around it. If we don't fix all of them, we're never going to solve it. We're in Boston. This is like the home of innovation, right? And most people look at us and don't think we're an innovative organization because it isn't about technology or an app or software. And in many ways, I think what we're doing is as innovative as they are. What does it look like to bring back manufacturing into the inner city and to think about food manufacturing as being regional, which is what it was 50, 100, 200 years ago, and bringing that back, move from industrial food production into regional food systems where we're thinking about the system as a whole. When I think about leadership, I feel like it's about having a vision, inspiring people around you to be on that vision with you. I feel like it's about giving people the tools that they need to be successful and be able to support them to become leaders and be vision on their own. I actually think about being the leader from the back of the train, not the front of the train. I feel like I spent a lot of my younger career trying to be that person at the front of the train, dragging everybody with me and saying, no, let's go this way, this is the way. And the older I get, the more I feel like, no, my job is to be at the back, see the direction, see the vision, steer people, guide them, support them in that direction, see the patterns. It allows me to see like where the opportunities are and start to steer us in that direction. My advice to people is do things you're passionate about, do things you're excited about, do things that feel like they matter to you, learn, make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, be bold. Really, honestly, be bold.